WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Our guest in this segment of the morning show is Bobbi Perryman. She is the executive director of the Warner Library. Bobbi, good to see you once again.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for coming out and talking with us. It's good to have you back and always fun to have you in the studio. Let's dive into, we're going to talk local history, resources at the library, all the things you offer. Where do you want to start with this?
Well, I'll kind of start with actually the library's strategic plan. So we have three strategic areas in our plan, and one of them is preserving history. Local history is big business for us, and it's a responsibility we take very seriously. We have the DeWitt County Museum here in town, and they are wonderful, and we love to work with them. We also have the DeWitt County Genealogical Society. Also wonderful, lovely people that we love to work with, but we don't have like a historical society or anything here in DeWitt County. So the library is kind of filled in that niche, and we have a large local history collection. It actually takes up 2 floors of our original building that has everything from our original C.H. Moore book collection to Civil War artifacts to a whole bunch of textiles we just got from the 1920s that are really great. Just a wide variety of things available at the library.
You mentioned it's part of the strategic plan. What specifically is the local history play into, like the mission of the library and those sorts of things?
So as I said, we call it preserving history. We think one of our duties as the library is to be the repository of DeWitt County history. And many people have donated their family heirlooms to the library, and that's a big responsibility to preserve that, but also to make it accessible, because having a wonderful diary in a box on a shelf that no one ever sees does no good for anybody.
Sure.
So we are working very hard to make as many things accessible as possible while also keeping the items safe.
Sure.
So one of the things that we've been working on are digitizing a lot of our items. We have a newspaper collection going back to 1854 for DeWitt County, and a lot of it's on microfilm, and we've actually been able to digitize that microfilm from 1854 to 1963 is on newspapers.com now. So if you have a newspapers.com subscription, you can search all of our collections. It's wonderful because it's keyword searchable. I just had a patron yesterday ask me about the Gardener's Cafe that used to be on Washington Street in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Did a keyword search in newspapers.com and found out one of the waitresses was stabbed to death by her husband. So I wasn't expecting that.
Talk about true crime,
yes.
right? Oh my goodness.
But found like advertisements and newspaper articles about it being remodeled and how the owners were going to get divorced, but then they got back together, and just all kinds of interesting history on newspapers.com.
Yeah.
If you don't have a subscription to newspapers.com, that is okay. We have free access in our library building. So if there's a topic you want to research, you can come use one of our computers or use your personal laptop or device in the library, and you can get thousands and thousands of newspapers that way.
I would just think like this, just that like 10 seconds of you talking about, the little bit about that one place. I just feel like those stories would be worth the browsing,
Absolutely.
like 45 minutes of browsing on
and
its
you
own.
can get sucked in. I've gotten sucked in on a lot of topics, and it's just so interesting. And it's all local. It's our history.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which
That's
is
wild.
great.
Sure. Now, you mentioned the archives themselves and digitizing the newspaper. That's where I was going to go next, was just the digital nature of the world we're in today, and bringing history along with that. Have you done other things along those lines?
Yes, we have. So we have 2 websites actually 3 that we have collections in: archive.org, historypin.com, and then the Illinois Digital Archive. These are all fully online sources, and they're all completely free that you can access anywhere, where we have a lot of our items like photographs and letters that we've digitized. So archive.org is the biggest. We have all of the area yearbooks from 1910 to about 1990 digitized and on archive.org. And again, they're keyword searchable. So if I'm looking for a guy I used to go to school with named David, I could search David in that year, and all of the Davids would pop up.
That's wild.
And you can look at it. I just yesterday finished uploading our Roque photograph collection. So the Roque Club used to meet down on Main Street by the railroad tracks where it becomes Illini Drive. You can still see it says Clinton Roke on there. Back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, it was a really popular club. And I have great photographs from the 50s of women wearing alien costumes playing Roke and looking like they're having a great time. I just put those on archive.org. We also have oral histories from local veterans. So we've been working with Battle Cross Crusaders to do veteran stories, as many as we can. Unfortunately, our resources are very limited when it comes to staff time, but we've done what we can with them. Those are all available. You can listen to them on archive.org. A lot of really great stuff. Historypin.com, a different website, is a lot of fun. We have a lot of our exterior photographs of pictures of buildings. And what's neat about History Pin is you'll have the picture of the building, but then they'll bring up the Google Street View of what it looks like today. So you can look at the map and see exactly where that photograph was taken and see what it looks like now.
That's cool.
It's
That's
really
cool.
neat.
Yeah, nice.
I really like History Pin. And the other one, the Illinois Digital Archive, has everything about Illinois history in it. It's managed by the Illinois State Library. And we had a grant several years ago to have our World War I collection digitized. So in our World War I collection, we have about 300 records of people who served in World War I from DeWitt County, and all the towns in DeWitt County, not just Clinton and not just men. There are actually some nurses that served overseas that are in that collection as well, which was really neat. And we have about 150 letters that were written from people serving in Europe that were written back home that were published in newspapers. We have those letters. All of that information is digital and searchable and on IDA, the Illinois Digital Archive.
That's really cool. Nice. Good stuff. Bobbi Perryman is the executive director of the Warner Library in studio with us this morning. Any other remnants or pieces of history at the library you want to highlight?
Oh, yes. We just, I'll say recently, but the past few months made a new local history section on our main floor. So if you go you walk in, there's a circulation desk, you walk past the circulation desk on the right, and there's a whole little seating area, and all of our Illinois history is there. So you have the Clinton and DeWitt County history and Weldon and other surrounding towns, but just Illinois in general. All of our area yearbooks are there. So not just Clinton, but also DeLand and Bloomington and some Farmer City and Kinney and Wapella when they still had schools are there. And we have what we call our vertical file, and they're literally huge file drawers that have different files by topic for Clinton and DeWitt County history that you can pull out newspaper articles and pictures and all kinds of interesting things about different topics. And we're also very happy to help you. So if you have any, if you bought a new house in Weldon and you want to try to find the history of that house, we will do everything we can to help you.
That's cool. That's really neat. When it comes to the interest in local history, and obviously you're taking all these efforts and strides to make this more accessible and available. What's the interest level in
It is very high. Every month when we do our reporting to our board on usage of our all of our stuff at the library. We count how many times our digital items have been accessed. It's usually about 2,000 hits a month.
Wow.
Which is a lot, especially for a small community.
That's like a third of the community right there.
Pretty much.
Little less, but yeah, for sure.
And which is great. It means people are really interested. We get a lot of great reference questions. The one I was just talking about, the Gardner Cafe. But we get things like that all the time of, hey, I need to know about this building, or I need the history of my ancestor. We can find it for you. And our podcast, we have a monthly podcast where we do local history topics as well as library topics. Kristen Hawes, who is one of the library employees, does an amazing job writing and recording them. She turned her podcast into a program last winter called Deadly DeWitt, where she talked about true crime cases here in DeWitt County in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. That all spun out of her podcast, and that is available on our YouTube channel, which we also have, where we do a monthly series called Tales from the Archives, where I actually pull an object out of our collections to talk about it. And we've done everything there. We just did one on a 1960s arms bust in Wapella, where it was the largest bust in the country outside of Chicago. I think it was huge. The number of weapons that they found that this guy was trying to sell to Cuba. I can't remember all the details, but it's there in the story. To a lady whose grandparents lived in Weldon, just donated all these clothing items she had from the 1920s that belonged to her grandparents. So a bunch of clothes that her grandmother made for her mother. Her grandfather was a car salesman in the 1910s. So he would actually deliver the cars to people's homes and stay at their homes for a week to teach them how to drive.
Wow.
So we've got his car coat and his car hat. Just wonderful, these pieces of people's lives. It's just wonderful to have.
That's wild. That is just wild. Anything else you want to highlight, Bobbi, as it relates to like the local history component of the library?
Absolutely. I would be very remiss if I did not talk about the DeWitt County Geological Society. Their collection is housed in the library. If you actually go to our lower level, it's where we have our local history and genealogy room, and some of the items there belong to the library. So like the microfilm newspapers all belong to the library, the city directories, that sort of thing. But the members of the Genealogical Society have also created all kinds of wonderful records. They have folders and folders of obituaries and marriage notices and funeral home records. Anything, if you want to find out about your family, if they're from DeWitt County, the Genealogical Society has it there. And they are all volunteers. And they're actually in the library on Thursdays from 10 to 3 to help anyone out. And we're very excited because we just got a new digital microfilm reader. From 1963 on, we were not able to digitize those items because we were able to do the other ones for free through newspapers.com, which was amazing. But the other ones would be like $45,000. And I just don't have that sitting in my couch cushions. But our digital microfilm reader is great because you can put the film in there and it's on a computer. So if it looks bad, you can clean it up. So we have one whole reel of film that's backwards for some reason, but it will actually, the computer will flip it so it's readable, and you can print them out, but you can also email articles to yourself. Our old microfilm readers were dinosaurs that were dying, that were just limping along. But we were very grateful. We had an anonymous donation of almost $5,000, donations from the Friends of the Warner Library, from the members of the DeWitt County Geological Society, that all contributed to buying this new digital microfilm reader, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. How much does it take the community to support you in this effort? Not just from a funding perspective, but hey, I've got this old book, or I've got this old article, or photograph collection, or whatever. Like, how much does that go into what you have?
That is our collection. We're not in a position where we can just go out and purchase materials for the local history collection, so we rely completely on donations for it. And I find it kind of amazing because my background before library science was history. I have a degree in history, so that's like my passion beyond libraries. But I find it amazing as people say, oh, I have my grandma's letters that she wrote. I didn't think anyone would be interested. Yes, we are absolutely 100% interested because those things really tie us to the past and give us a window into the past and understanding where we came from. So please do not throw away your grandma's letters. If nobody in the family wants them, if they are related to DeWitt County, we will take them. Because we only have so much space, we do have to limit to just DeWitt County. However, if your grandma was from Hayworth and you have all of her stuff and you don't know what to do with it, you can still call us and we will direct you to the right place. We have a whole list of different organizations in the counties surrounding us that will be happy to take your donations.
Do you feel like DeWitt County or Warner Library is, I don't want to say ahead of the game, but a leader in the game of, local history and the ways that you approach it and those sorts of things? Or do you find other libraries do a lot of this?
There are actually quite a few libraries. In fact, about every quarter, I get together with people in charge of local history collections at other libraries, and we have a local history forum where we just talk about the issues that we're going through and ask questions. We have done a lot. I'm not going to lie, I'm not trying to boast, but we have done quite a bit with our local history collection, but we rely heavily on our peers. And one of the wonderful things about the library community is how giving everyone is of their time and their advice and their ideas. Nobody really gatekeeps in the library community. We are big on sharing. So I know Chatham Public Library and the Lincoln Library in Springfield, Public Library of Springfield, and a lot of others around us have really wonderful, Decatur Public Library have wonderful historic collections. And even the smaller libraries like Berkeley Public Library in Warrensburg don't have the same resources that we do, and we don't have the same resources as, say, Decatur or Springfield, but they still have a local history collection that they take pride in.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense, the lack of competitiveness in the library community, because each one is kind of a staple of their own community.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep, and yeah, it's just a great community.
Very good. Well, Bobbi, I look at the clock. We are well past due for a break. How do folks learn more about all things Warner Library?
Well, you can visit us in person at 310 North Quincy in Clinton. You can look for our website, vwarner.org. Give us a call at 217-935-5174 or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That is Bobbi Perryman, Executive Director of the Warner Library in Clinton. Our guest on the phone, or our guest in studio. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW.
Hey farmers, our environment-friendly liquid fertilizer will help you stretch that fertilizer dollar further, a lot further, without compromising on results. Experience application versatility, lower input costs, and healthier crop yields. Don't just fertilize, mineralize. Product and crop protocol information is available at blackcoralminerals.com. blackcoralminerals.com.
If you're looking for the latest in local hunting and fishing information, then join us for Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White. Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Sundays at 8 a.m. here on WHOW. Every weekend, we'll offer detailed Central Illinois fishing reports from professional guides. We'll swap stories with local celebrity sportsmen, and I'll invite you to share your favorite stories as well. Central Illinois Outdoors with Jared White every weekend on all WHOW platforms and on demand at centralillinoisoutdoors.com. Brought to you by Bob Ridings in Pana, the Clinton, Illinois Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, and Locked and Loaded in Pana. DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air and online 24 hours a day. The latest local news stories are heard every hour on Central Illinois' news station, the Big 1520 AM and 92.3 FM WHOW. Stream live at DeWittDailyNews.com. They're also heard every hour on the station that's your easy choice, 95.9 FM WEZC. And to read the latest local news on your electronic device, including tablets, iPhones, and smartphones, go to DeWittDailyNews.com. DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air, online 24 hours a day. For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Connexus will provide local, reliable, affordable, and speed of light fiber internet to Clinton. Get on the install list now by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Fiber internet is coming to Clinton. Get on the install list now.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Once again, and good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Bobbi Perryman, Executive Director of the Warner Library, in studio with us today. And Bobbi, let's just talk digital services. You know, we talk about the digital access to history. Obviously, the library really embracing the technology component. Let's just talk, like, you know, how folks can access, say, the library collection from home and some of those things.
Absolutely. So we have lots of different options for patrons. We try to have as many avenues to reach as many people as possible. If you are a library user and you do not have the Share app, I highly recommend that you download it. It's a free app that works on Android and on iPhone. And it allows you to access your account just right there on your phone. So you can actually check out items with your phone at the library, which is pretty neat.
Wow, that's wild.
You just set the phone on top of the item you want to check out, and the app will check it out for you. But you can also manage your account, so make requests, renew items, or if you're in a store and you see, oh, that book looks really cool, you can use the app to scan the barcode on the back of the book, and it'll tell you if it's available in the library.
No kidding.
And if it's available, you can put a hold on it right then and there. I've done it in Target.
Whoa!
So
holy
it's
cow.
so super cool. So that's the Share app, and again, you can find it in the App Store on your device, which is great. If you prefer digital ebooks or audiobooks to the physical ones, awesome. We've got you covered. We have two different platforms. One is called Overdrive/Libby. Overdrive is the company. Libby is the actual app. And it has the newest releases are going to be on Libby. Unfortunately, it is only one person can access the item at a time. So if it's a really hot new item, you will have to be on hold for it. But it's going to have the biggest, newest stuff. Hoopla is our other ebook platform, and it doesn't have the newest things. It takes it a few months to get newer items, but it's simultaneous use. So you can instantly check something out as soon as you see it.
Right.
And I've noticed when it comes to books, most of our patrons, we check out about 500 or so ebooks a month. Most patrons still prefer a physical book, but for audiobooks, patrons really globbed on to downloading. I know I do, because then it's on your phone. If you're in your car, you can just Bluetooth it
Yep.
and it plays.
Easy enough. Now, I know you told me in the break you noticed a trend, kind of through COVID and then coming out of COVID. Speak to that.
And it's not just us, it's libraries nationwide. During COVID, we had a huge spike in usage of Libby and Hoopla, which was no surprise because we were shut down for 8 weeks, but also people weren't going out, so they weren't making it to the library to get new books. In fact, our board voted to move more money from our budget into digital items just so we could meet demand. But then once pandemic slowed down and people started going out more with ebooks, that went back down to pre-pandemic levels. But with audiobooks, it stayed higher up. And we don't actually buy physical audiobooks anymore because they were just not getting used. And we've moved that money into more money for Overdrive and for Hoopla, so people can download their audiobooks onto their phone.
Sure. How do you feel about the kind of movement towards the digital space in terms of accessing books electronically, ebooks electronically? How about that?
I think it's great because, again, I see it another way to reach people, because there are a lot of very busy people who might not have time to actually come to the library. And I would much rather them check out an ebook than not check out a book at all.
Right.
So I love it. And I love having the options for more people. And especially for people with certain disabilities, it's a great option. So if you are vision impaired, you can either make the text on your device as big as you need it to be, which is great, or you have the audiobook option, which is also great. And just throwing this out, also, if you are visually impaired or have a physical problem with your hands, the state of Illinois has a completely free program called Talking Books, where they will mail books to your house every month. So if you want more information, if that sounds like something that would work really well for you, please give us a call and we'll help you get that set up.
And how do they get a hold of you, Bobbi?
Well, again, you can visit us at 310 North Quincy, call us at 217-935-5174. And look for us on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit our website, vwarner.org.
Bobbi, always good to see you. Thanks for making time for us. Bobbi Perryman, Executive Director of the Warner Library in Clinton.
WHOW.
With SRN News,